Welcome to Module 8 of the deadly sins of the six-figure product launch. And this is failure to ensure that your product or platform is scalable. I made this mistake big time. And this is one of those mistakes that reduced me to tears on the third day of this launch. This was a mistake that cost me my credibility and cost me a lot of money. Because before we launched Mobimatic, we had some few people on it and it worked well and everybody was talking about how awesome the product is, but we never really fully tested it against a heavy usage. Either we didn't know how, or I could have told my techies to figure out how to do it, but we didn't. And most products, when you create them and you have a few people using it in your beta testing, they always do well. But you need to be sure that it is scalable. It is one thing when 10 people are on a website or on a software at the same time. It's another thing when you have 1,000 people. And if you are going to be doing a six-figure launch, you're going to have thousands upon thousands of people, unless your product is $5,000 per product, which you're not going to be able to sell on JVZoo anyway. So if you are going to be doing a six-figure launch, that's $100,000. All right? Which means you are going to be anticipating at least 2,000-3,000 people are using your product. Without ensuring that your product can handle that, you're opening up yourself for very big embarrassment down the road. That's what happened to me. So be sure your product is scalable. Our product worked well with less than 100 people using it during beta testing, maybe with a few glitches here and there. But when 1,000 people hit it at the same time, it broke. All right? And we were busy thinking it was server. Meanwhile, it was the coding. The coding was not done to be able to carry up to 1,000 users at a time. By the time we finally ran up and down, called all the people, and we have had massive refunds, by the time I finally got somebody who will help me look at it properly, the diagnosis was the problem is with the source code, that it was not built to withstand 2,000 users. Yet my techies will not tell me that. It's either they didn't know or they are trying to cover for themselves. All right, these are questions I should have asked them. These are questions I should have made sure third parties have helped me look into. And you don't want to make the same mistake. It is one thing when you and your friend are playing with a product and it's working well. It's another thing when 2,000 people hit it at the same time. So be sure to do serious stress test on the load your product can carry. There are people who do that. There are professionals, that's their job, where they can simulate 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people on the software. And then it will tell them how your software is going to perform under pressure. We didn't do that with Mobimatic. We are just satisfied that with the few people working on it, we are satisfied that that's how it's going to work when we get into the launch proper. And by the time we hit the second day, it was disaster all through. And it took us a long time to even figure it out, that it was the capacity of our software that was the problem. We kept blaming our servers. We kept blaming our hosts, when the problem really is the fundamental thing wrong with our software. We had to go back later and spend in excess of $30,000 just to fix that coding problem. You don't want that to be your portion, okay? You don't want to lose so much after making so much. 6 figures is a lot of money to make. But how would you feel if you made 6 figures in your launch and then you end up with no money in your pocket, then having to spend another 6 figures just to make the product usable for those who did buy it? Trust me, it's not something to make you smile. So be sure your product and server, host, and whatever can handle at least 10 times your expectations. If I were to do this over, I knew going in that our target was to sell between 2,000 and 2,500 software. That's how we're going to get to the figure we had in mind, which was like we want to hit $400,000. All right. At that point, I knew my break-even point, even before the other expenses, was going to be at $300,000. And I'm saying, okay, we need to go beyond my break-even point and go to $400,000. So I knew what to expect. I wasn't caught unawares with the $365,000 in sales, but I was caught unawares by what it takes to sustain that. All right. So you need to build your product and server to handle 10 times your expectations. If I were to do this over, I'm going to make sure they stress test my product to make sure I can take 20,000 people if I'm expecting only 2,000. So that way I know the enormity of the problems I'm going to be facing when I get a rush of people coming on to my software. In my case, it was really tragic because at the end of the launch, we got another product of the day award, which by itself is good for another $100,000 in sales for the kind of product that we have. But we couldn't even sustain it because we know our servers can't take it. We know our software cannot take it. So we couldn't even exploit it. And it was a bitter, bitter experience. You don't want to be in that position. You want to not just test your product, but you want to make sure that it can withstand not just the number of users, but number of users on it at the same time doing maximum work. Otherwise, that will be a mistake you will live to regret, like I did. It will cost you a lot of money. It will cost you a lot in physical anxiety. It will cost you a lot in branding loss, and so on and so on. And you don't want to be there.